We've seen your Padres Invoker perform very well. It seems to be a bit of a comfort pick for him these days. And I mean, altogether, just a hell of a lot of team fight and disable on Boom. Certainly feels like a draft that could move very fast. But I could kind of say the same thing for Motivate.
Yeah, there's a lot of clash potential from both sides. I think for Boom, the Invoker pick does set them up for, one for the CTM specials. Nature's Prophet tends to play really nicely with the Invoker. You're a great alacrity target as the game scales on. You can play with Sunstrike and the Tree Sprout, so you can look for pickoffs that way as well. And you can just kind of apply pressure across the map with the NP pick. So if Motivate.Trust don't ban it out, there's a lot of room here for CTM to go for his favorite hero on the safe lane. I think for Motivate.Trust, when you see Mars, when you see the Kunkka, and when you consider what Jackie likes to play, there are a couple of options there for Motivate.Trust. They could go for the Wraith King, which we know Jackie loves, or for the Spectre. The Spectre kind of ties in there. It gives them good backline potential, ripping through the Bane, ripping through the Pango, Mirana, or the Invoker as well. Very soft targets for the Spectre to handle by herself. The Ags was nerfed a bit, but we still see the hero come in and out in picks, so that could be a good way for Motivate.Trust to go as well. Like something like the Spectre, Wraith King, maybe even the Medusa could fit in with the Morris Kunkka. You can kind of just play that way. I'm surprised they do let the Nature's Prophet through. They ban out the PL, and they ban out PA, so CTM, if he wants to, can just go pause one NP. Of course, NP against Kunkka is a bit weird because you've got the X to hold him back, so if he does try to teleport away, you can just drag him back. You do have Tideburner to wave clear and God's Rebuke to an extent as well, but I think you still have a lot of leeway here for Boom. Like outside of the Kunkka X and the Lion Blink Hex, I think you can still play that Nature's Prophet and split push here.
Well, they're going to go for that Spectre you talked about, John. So Motivate.Trust, give the Spectre over to Jackie. Now, this hero, it used to take a long time to be online. And these days, it just feels like you need an Aghanim Scepter, which, is not too hard for a position 1 to farm up. So I can't say this is some ultra late game, greedy kind of carry that Jackie's picking up here. Although it obviously will transition to that later on. He can get relatively active, and it does feel like Motivate have got a very kind of aggressive draft going for themselves. It does feel like everyone on Boom right now is quite susceptible to just dying solo to the Spectre if he does make the jump in with that Shadow Step. Poor old Bane as well. I mean, suppose you can always Nightmare the Spectre illusion if you get haunted on, so you can kind of get away, but certainly a very rough time for the supports of Boom Esports against the Spectre. Boom, though, what do you want to go play here against the Spectre? I mean, the MP's still there. Doesn't feel great, though, especially against that Spectre. You're always going to have the jump. The CTM, he's a very versatile man. Does anything kind of pop out here, John?
I mean, since you're considering the Mars lane, you could just go for something like Jug could be good. You'd always have the spin to get out of arena, kind of dodge out the line and Kunkka control as well. And you can eventually build a Silver Edge to kind of deal with the Spectre. So you can kind of at least take the dispersion and the tankiness that does bring away from the hero. You're a great alacrity target as well. So Jug could kind of fit in, but it's either that or a Life Sealer. Like, Life Sealer is also in the pool, rips through Kunkka Mars, to an extent Spectre, because she does build a lot of HP. And it can kind of scale. You can also go for the Silver Edge build. So both of these heroes kind of work. I think the spell immunity is very valuable for Boom. So they can kind of just look at either hero. They go with the Slark instead, which also punishes the Spectre, and the Mars, because you just build up Essence Shift stacks. You do like to eat through these tanky heroes. The Slark does have sensitive timings, though. It does feel like you want to hit like a Echo Saber, Shadow Blade build really quick, or the Diffusal really fast to have some early activity. And you kind of want to get rolling from there, because if you do give space out to a Spectre to farm, core to core, it doesn't feel like the Spectre completely outfarms the Slark, because Slark does have great wave clear with the Dark Pact and mobility with Pounce as well. But the Spectre does scale a little bit better. In terms of item spikes, it does have a lot to bring with it. So I think that's something Boom has to be aware of. And they've got to play to this fast pace they've got. With a Slark, with a Pango, with a Bane Mirana support duo, you've got to play to your ganking potential. Look for arrow opportunities. Try to hit level 6 on your supports fast. I think the level 6 on Bane's actually really important here. If Aubing doesn't manage to soak up in a good tempo, like say hit level 6 by the 10-minute mark, your mid-game opportunities kind of shrink a bit there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a very fun matchup. I think I see a lot of aggression this game between these two, and of course Boom Esports would love to force Motivate.Trust to have their first loss of the group stage thus far. We'll see though. I mean, game one, they look set to do it. I'll ask you the hard question, John. Between these two drafts, which one do you think came out on top?
It's a tough sell. I think both sides came out with really even drafts. I would have to lean towards Motivate.Trust. I think considering how we've seen them play, like they've sorted out their issue in the early game, they make better decisions by mid-game. This kind of lineup fits their playstyle. I think Motivate.Trust has the edge in terms of executing with the Spectre here.
Okay. I kind of agree with you on that as well. I do feel like Motivate just have the stronger lineup, but it can go any way. We'll see how it does pan out, as we are going to have an immediate pause coming up between these two teams. Wouldn't have it any other way, John, after a couple days break for you and I. We need another one, straight off the bat, just a quick pause. How's your time off been, John? Anything special happened? You said it was your dad's birthday today. What did you eat?
Yeah, we had a lot of food. I ended up ordering like we have something called a bilao, which is like a platter, right? Like a Filipino, I don't know how to describe it, like a circle wooden traditional platter. So we ordered a bilao of pancit, some noodles, pancit malabon. It's like with like crushed shrimp head sauce. I think that's what it's traditionally made of. And then we had a lechon belly. It's like a lechon, but it's just the pork belly cut roasted over an open fire. We had that, and it's really filling. And I'm really full. I'm actually really full. The issue is when you eat that heavy in lunch, a lot of Filipinos notice you kind of just want to take a siesta in the afternoon. You just kind of want to sleep off the food overload. So it's a lot of food, Mike, and I'm feeling pretty good here.
No, I hope you do, John. I mean, we've got 4 best of 2s on tonight. So no sleeping for you, sir. You've got at least another 8-9 hours before you get to hit the bed. Which I'm sure is very hard for you, considering your bed's right behind you all the time when we're casting. So you never know, John. I mean, while the camera's off, you might be able to just sneak into bed, pull the mic over, We'd never realize.
Yeah. Who knows? I could be in bed right now. You wouldn't know, Mike. Although you do see my cam, but the audience wouldn't know. That's the key thing.
No,
they wouldn't
absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are going to have a quick disconnection here. Looks like Jackie's the one experiencing some issues with the internet. Yet both these two teams haven't played each other quite yet during the groups. Motivate still undefeated, but Boom Esports all the way at the top of the ladder. It tends to happen with teams that are undefeated. If you're the team against them, you always want to force that first loss. I mean, it just feels good in a rather sadistic way to just make them experience that loss for the first time during the tournament.
Yeah, it does. It gives you great momentum as well. And for the matchup, Boom almost always have had Motivate's number, especially since the shift. Like last time we saw them in Pro Series 8, Boom did manage to take that 2-0. So, that was with a slightly different lineup. They have changed up. Paulus is not there anymore. But in terms of the players knowing how the other side plays, Boom seems to know. So we'll see if Motivate.Trust have adjusted. For Motivate.Trust side, undefeated, but we were having a bit of discussion, right? There's maybe a bit of concept that, they played the teams that were, on paper, less favorable than Motivate.Trust. But I think Motivate.Trust have improved as a team, right? Like their shortcomings in the laning phase, they've overcome. They've made better decisions into the mid-late game as well, because the last time we saw them win laning, they kind of get too aggressive and drop that lead. They have kind of tied those in. So I'm keen to see if that improvement's enough for Motivate.Trust to overcome that historical sort of loss streak they've had over Boom and start to get some wins and keep staying undefeated here. It's Jackie's birthday. He'd want to stay undefeated.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that's why he's shown up, John, just to make sure himself that they do not experience a loss. So we do see a quick observer ward being placed in the mid lane, and we see this practically every game with Motivate.Trust. Just a 5-man smoke into the mid ward. They do spot out where the observer ward was placed by Yopaj, so you're going to have a nice easy D ward there against the Invoker. In the meantime, Boom, I feel like they should know this 5-man smoke was going to happen, but maybe they do. We'll see, as Yopaj is going to show up and automatically starts denying off the ward, and they will make sure they do get it though. Masteros able to take the gold for himself. Happy days. Great start here for Motivate already, making life very hard for the Invoker.
And we've talked about sort of that tempo that comes from mid. A lot of the times from a lot of teams, it boils down to water room control. Right, so if you can, you have the support to deny out the other Water Rune, build up for yourself. Both heroes in this case don't necessarily have to play for Water Runes. Kunkka and Invoker can kind of sustain by themselves, but it's a bit more important for the Kunkka, and that does set up for Motivate.Trust with Fearless's lane. He's going to have a better time spotting out the rotations, securing his bottle refills, and kind of just playing the harassed game versus the Invoker.
Well, an even better start now, John. Motivate, they'll get 3 for 1 in terms of bounties, so getting the advantage there as well. Gold lead will go their way, at least for now. And while we're here, we'll talk about the top lane, because it does seem like we're going to start with the tri-lane from Boom, as Tims is on that Mirana. And we always comment, when Tims is on this Mirana, he turns into that Filipino sniper I always name him as, John. Just never misses those arrows. We'll see if he gets one now. I mean, you do have the Nightmare to set up from a bang if he does want to pick it up. And it should be a rather easy kill, but Motivate, they're reading this movement. They're reading the play. Tims is going to show himself, and Masros even going to show up now from the tree line. Try to get aggressive. The end, we'll just have to leave them be. We'll see how long Boom want to keep this tri lane up. Seems like they're rather comfortable leaving their Pango on the off lane by himself. And I suppose if they keep this tri lane with a Slark, this is very old school. But it can be very devastating, as now Beng's going to get jumped. He'll be okay, though. And in the meantime, Tims, he has indeed rotated down to the bot lane now.
Yeah, it's a good start for Boom. They deny off pretty much one whole wave from Masaros. In fact, 2 waves, with his second wave coming in as well. So Masaros kind of misses out on EXP and farm. Free farm for CTM for the first minute. Great start for the Slark, because level 1 is one of his weakest points. Now you've got the potential to go for Pounce or go for Dark Pact to dispel off the stun, and you're a bit more protected in the lane. Masaros, set 0, they've got a pretty aggressive lane to do line up the Earth Spike into Spear, but considering the saves coming through from a bang with a Nightmare, if it does come through, it is a bit tough, and I think you might want to take this lane a bit slower on the Radiant side. Maybe wait for level 3 specifically until you get aggressive, but you're already seeing set 0 drop very low with Abang's harassment here.
Yeah, very, very true. Of course, over in the mid lane, you've got Fearless against your Page. Right now, it is favoring Fearless, but it is to be expected. Like the Kunkka versus Invoker matchup, it just never favors the Invoker. You're always going to have the damage kind of advantage here if you are Fearless, and of course with the Tidebringer, you are just going to be able to easily harass away that Invoker. Mind you, your Page, he will be able to just passively remain in the lane with that Quas build up, but in terms of CS, he's not going to really be able to do too much against Fearless.
Yeah, and Fearless is always going to have the wave clear advantage with the Tidebringer. Yopaj, it's the shortcoming of Invoker. You don't have the best wave clear spells you can just toss out as easily as Tidebringer. The one thing for Yopaj, though, is because he's Invoker, he's not a very heavy bottle user, so that vision disadvantage he has on mid is not going to affect him in terms of holding the lane too much. We're not going to see too much side lane rotations coming up for Motivate with his Silencer line. So the Invoker can also just play the slower game, focus on his CS, and just get as much as he can from the lane. As long as you still get EXP and farm, despite it being less farm, you're still pretty okay with this lane for Yopaj.
Oh boy, top lane. They missed the pounce because the Nightmare came in from a bang. Masteros going to be counting his lucky stars here as a bang. Well, the coordination just was not quite right there as a bang still chasing down set 0. But doesn't have enough mana for the Brain Sap. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Q's being chased down now. The Silencers, FBZ doesn't want to give up on this kill. He has enough for it, and he does get it. Swashbuckle lands very nicely, though. Jackie's still trying to get aggressive, but he's going to drop as well. Oh, just a disastrous start here for Motivate.Trust down at the bot lane. As Tims and FBZ begin to get aggressive. They're doing a great job of it.
They're just kind of zoning out the side of Motivate.Trust, applying that pressure. They've got great early levels on Boom for Motivate.Trust. A Silencer at level 2, you know, going for the last word Glaives build up as well, so you don't have the Arcane Curse until now when you hit level 3. The presence of Silencer and Spectre is just not that strong. You can't really zone them out too well. You can't really trade hits as a Silencer because the Mirana is always going to find that angle on you as well. So the range advantage you have on that here is kind of lost. And for Tims, even without arrow set, you just have a lot of presence. Your right clicks from a mile away, and Spectre can just kind of get slowly chipped down. They're keeping the wave shoved in, and Tims is just going really deep to get some large camps cleared out as well. So he's getting his EXP, while FBZ still finds farm. FBZ is kind of lagging behind in CS, but just those kills on Jackie will slow the pace of that Spectre by a good amount.
Oh, absolutely. FBZ, he knows the drill. I mean, he doesn't need CS in a hero like Pango anyway. He just wants to be able to try secure those levels up ASAP to get that Rolling Thunder going. They try again onto Q, but he does juke out the arrow this time around from Tims. Just being a lot more cautious here to not feed any more kills away to this Pango, who is kind of starving for gold right now. Tims, he'll stick around. He'll just make sure Jackie can't freely approach the creep wave every single time. Meanwhile, though, top lane, Set Zero and Masteros fighting over this creep wave. A Bang is trying to set up here for CTM. Doesn't go for the Nightmare quite yet onto Set Zero, and looks like they're just going to leave him be anyways. The Lion will be just fine, but a Bang, again, getting aggressive. Does get the Nightmare this time, and CTM just waiting for that pounce. Does land it, and eventually they should find the kill, but a nice spear away. Set Zero, he gets the Earth Spike as well, and somehow he's going to run his way out. Great spear from Masteros.
That really was a good spear to disengage. I think I saw CTM comp at least one instance with Nightmare, so they miss out on a window of DPS that might have given them that kill.
Tims and Q both going down at the bot lane as well as they do trade supports. I think that does kind of favor Jackie though on the Spectres. You're not really expecting to find these kills early on this hero, but he does find his first pick up there onto Tims, so definitely good news here for Motivate.
I think for Boom's side though, Mike, you're still happy that FTZ is still getting EXP. He's going to hit level 6 fairly fast. He already has his Orb of Corrosion, so the swashbuckle damage starts to ramp up, makes it really easy to rip through that silencer in particular. And Jackie still has to watch himself. He went for the Power Treads first, he's going for the Falcon Blade next. And this is the issue of Spectre. Laning phase is just a bit slow, especially with something like the silencer. You don't have too much control here. So I think you just kind of have to focus on holding your lane, building as much farm as you can, and just stay protected.
Unfortunate arrow there from Tims, landing onto the creep wave as it was coming up. It's a bit of a mistime there. Don't matter too much. They'll just back off and reset. In the meantime, looks like Fearless has started to rotate into the jungle now, and we are seeing the effects of arrowing with that large cap from Tims. Fearless is only going to be left with one of the yellow tomatoes. Very upsetting for him on the Kunkka. Still, though, is leading in terms of CS, and it does appear to be a very good game already for Fearless. So I don't think there's much in the way of slowing him down too much now. Just wait to see when those rotations start to come out, but should be around that 8-minute mark when you do see that power rune spawn up. In the meantime, though, Yopaj, he doesn't need a power rune. He wants to go right now at that top lane. Unfortunately for him, Masteros is going to back off at that right time. We'll see how patient Yopaj wants to be as he tries to body block the wave to force him to come up. I think he will have to be waiting quite a bit longer. So Yopaj, he might just have to leave the building. In fact, never mind. He's going in. Tornado, Cold Snap, and EMP all being thrown out. Masteros, he's going to get bursted down. They've got the damage and the control. Turns out there's no problems here for Yopaj.
And get a nice kill out. With the Invoker rotation, Boom just building up that aggression, and Yopaj's Urn flew in right before that gank broke up. So he's got the Urn charge up, he can get a lot more aggressive with Cold Snap. That's going to be something Motivate.Trust has to watch out for. For the side of Motivate.Trust, haven't been able to leverage their levels here, and the invis on Tims giving so much info on Fearless.
Oh, that's a great body block from Tims, and now they're rolling Thunder in the perfect situation. It's just Permastun City here for Fearless. Yopaj will take another kill on this Invoker, and boy, oh boy, I mean, it's one thing to get lucky with the Invis rune, John, but to body block that well, you can't blame Fearless there. Just Tim's just outplaying him way too much.
They just place themselves at the right spot on Boom's side, and I'm surprised Fearless couldn't tell immediately that he was being blocked off. He did manage to get the boat off, but it's just not enough protection yet. He doesn't have that much HP at this point in game. 1.2k with 3 heroes around you doesn't feel like much. And Boom is just building up the aggression they need to. They've got this lineup that has really aggressive supports with Umrana, with a Bane to an extent, and they've got that early level advantage they have on FBZ. So they're just looking for space, looking to build up, giving that snowball start out to Yopaj. And up top again.
Yeah, Yopaj, another great rotation on the Invoker, does secure 1 kill, and now CTM, he can just go right onto another Ascent Zero. Gonna get Nightmare up by a Bang, but Fearless now is gonna rotate. CTM still looking to get aggressive. Salved up here by a Bang, but eventually that should be cancelled off. Apparently not. Apparently just goes.
Yeah, that was really good Dark Pact timing from CTM. I think the moment that Q came in, dropped the Arcane, the Dark Pact was already going, so he didn't take a single tick of damage.
Wow.
Gets full value from the salve. And Boom now building up a massive lead in terms of kills. It's 1-7, but the net worth hasn't really swung. You are up there with CTM's farm, but Fearless and Jackie aren't.
He sets up another, and this is just great Invoker play, and this is why you love to see this man play the Invoker. He gets his urn, and that's about it. He's rotating. No more static mid lane farming. This man wants to find kills. And he's already been part of 5 out of 8, John.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It's nuts. He's just had that snowball start, and there's not much he can do. Ooh, nice dodge from Abang.
Yeah, very nice nightmare.
Yeah. But they are still building up a... He does have a haste to run away. Boom. This is a bit worrying for Motivate. You take a lot longer with a Spectre. You talked about mid-game timings, Mike. The Ags being the big one for Spec. Still a long ways off for Jackie, and he doesn't really have a safe spot to farm. He's still playing on bot lane, hasn't switched top, and you still have that level advantage on FBZ here.
Jackie being chased down right now by FBZ. Should eventually land the stun, but no, he can't quite find Jackie, so... Well, that Rolling Thunder's going to wear off, and now, well, Yopaj is going to show up. They seem to think Jackie is still around the area, and they are correct in thinking so, as now they jump in. FBZ. Gonna miss the swashbuckle, but it won't matter. They've got the cold snap. Haunts away Jackie. He'll go towards the north, but he's still down to that bot lane. In the meantime, Setzer and Q have rotated. They're going to try and turn on to the Invoker. Hell, even Masteros is here, just in case. And Q will take the kill on the Silencer of all people. I suppose as long as Jackie remains safe, they're more than happy.
Yeah, they kind of break the gank off under Spectre. They deny off the bot tier 1 as well, so the gold's not going the way of Boom. But Motivate.Trust aren't getting aggression off on their own side. So the top lane's still free farm for a Slark. Your Spectre's still forced to hang around bot to get what farm she can. And that area of the map is still being pressured by Boom. So I think at some point Motivate has to start looking at different lanes for Jack to farm in. Top lane should be the ideal. He does have the TP ready to go to switch lanes up, and I think for Motivate, the safest play now is to just shove in top, take the top tier 1, open up the top forward part of the jungle for your Spec to farm with, and start to prep up the triangle with some stacks and some creeps for the Spectre or the Kunkka to clear out to hit some item spikes. Fearless on that Kunkka, he is rushing BKB. So our Kunkka does want to play very fast here. No armlet, no sort of midway build-up, just wants the spell immunity to handle Boom. Of course, once the BKB is up, with a Bane on the opposite side, Boom does still have a good way of piercing through spell immunity. So if you feel like the Spectre's not a threat, if you feel like the Mars isn't a threat, you can just easily grip Fearless when he pops his BKB, and suddenly that early gold investment could just be all for naught on the Kunkka.
Yeah, I think Motivate just kind of trusts the fact that their Silencer will have the global silence to cancel the Fiend's Grip every time.
Ooh, bounty!
The BKB, you might waste it for about a second or two, but once the global silence comes in, he should be okay. See how great a Bing can be at kind of waiting out that global silence, but I'm pretty sure Q will just literally wait to see the Fiend's Grip first before he does use that R. In the meantime, Motivate, they've smoked up. They want to try and make a rotation in. Onto Tim's, they'll find the Mirana. He's got help around though. Rolling Thunder's going to come in. Fearless, he'll take first hit. Set0, he'll take another. A great Nightmare dodge as well. Tim's, he won't take the finger damage and now just runs away, but Masteros, he is going to be able to cut him off, and they even found a Bang on the Bane. The only person to get out right now is FBZ, but he's in the wrong base at the moment. FBZ going to get arena'd up. They will play no games with this man. They will eventually just burst him down. I suppose on the brighter side, he buys a bit more time, bit more space for his other cause. Still a massive win here for Motivate.
They'll take what they can get. They find 2 supports, a core, for no real committal coming true from Motivate.Trust. And they kind of start to bounce back in kill board. 5-8, still a 1k net worth lead for Bloom, but not by much. CTM still having a good time farming up in the Slark, and his diffusal is flying in, so the Slark is going to hit that spike. But Boom, they've got the Moonlight up and they're rotating bot.
Well, they found Jackie with the Spirit Vessel now on Yopaj and the arrow to land from Tim's. And Fiend's Grip was even out on Q just in case they could find another. A Bang or Nightmare up the Lion, so Set0 is kind of stuck right now, but in the meantime, they are going to find a Mirana kill. Tim's, he's going to drop, in fact, now a Bang is in danger as Fearless. He's going to rotate. FBZ is going to try and help out with the mech charge, and it does work out. Set0, he's going to be the one to go down. So Boom Esports, they drop 1. But they do find that Jackie Spectre, and they'll even get a cherry on top with Set Zero's line.
Masaros?
In trouble. CTM with the Diffusal Blade up is going to be able to just chase down this Mars, and we'll find another kill now for Boom Esports. And I'll tell you what, John, this Slark is looking very scary.
It's such an early spike for CTM. He's been given a heck lot of free space. Like, after laning, he's just been sitting top, no contestation coming out for Motivate.Trust, and hits these early spikes. Just with the Diffusal and Falcon Blade, he is ready to go. And he's already got 4 stacks of that permanent Agi, so he's hitting a little bit harder than you'd expect. And is slightly tankier with armor, so it can kind of last through a few more hits. Side of Motivate, they're still trying to stall out as best as they can. They need to keep protecting Jackie. It's all about waiting for the Spectre to hit Ag's timing, to build into something like the Scotty, Manta for protection perhaps, and going from there. But it takes so much time for the Spectre to hit that point. You are still in a good spot in terms of net worth, though. Like, being about, okay, maybe 1.7k behind Slark isn't great, but it's still playable for the Spectre to play catch-up. You just need space here.
Look at FBZ, though, doing some great work on this Pos 3 Pango. He's just always sticking around Jackie, making sure he never feels comfortable. His mid lane Tims, nice arrow, might delay out the boat, but no, they get the X off in time. And that should be another kill onto this Mirana, but the Nightmare is going to save him, only for a little bit. Eventually, Q does take another kill on the Silencer. And the man's got 10 in for himself now, so happy days here for Q.
Went off to a bit of a slower start in that dual lane with the Spec, but Q is starting to apply more presence. He's got the maxed out Curse, so he is doing a lot more damage when the Silence flies through. Boom, though.
Tornado. Very, very hard one to hit, as you had the X back from Fearless all along. In the meantime, CTM now rotating into the triangle, might find Set Zero on that Lion, and that'll be a great start to this team fight as he will pounce in. Set Zero, he'll go for the Hex up. Global Silence is there as well. Masaros, he's going to try and jump in. They found the Slark. CTM, he's going to drop it now. Yopage, he cannot be saved either. FBC, he's going to try and rush forward, but the Global Silence just had way too much impact, and now a bang. He'll be X back into the loving arms of Jackie. And that'll be another to go the way of Motivate.Trust. And that was a real great Global Silence there from Q. Literally setting up the team fight for Motivate.
Yeah, just managed to break off the initiation of Boom. Boom with a wraparound. They had a right idea. They're playing really forward Slark. And because they didn't manage to get that good jump, it just kind of fell flat. Really great response coming through from Motivate as they tried to pressure out Tims, but Masaros.
Feels like bait. Fearless, he's going to get an X off on Tims. FBC still charging forward, but now the spear's going to land. And Motivate eventually will back off as Boom, they do commit the Moonlight Shadow. It won't matter though, Tims. He's still having a look around, seeing if he can find somebody with an arrow. But he's not going to quite have a target. Well, he may even try to go into that Radiant Triangle now, but very risky. Because they do have the ward on the high ground, so they've got a bit of information here as now CTM. Gonna ignore that courier, go instead onto Set Zero. Couple of toys there, but the Dark Pact is out. Earth Spike though is gonna land, and now Fearless does rotate in again. Set Zero, he's still alive. Boat's gonna fly in. Bean's Grip is out onto Fearless. Maybe they can secure at least one, and they do. And now the arrow to follow up here onto the Kunkka. Fearless, he should eventually be dead, but he will be KB up and he will go for a run. In the meantime, mid lane, Masaros is going to end up dropping an FBZ, so Boom. Once that Global Silence goes down, are able to get rather aggressive as CTM now finds another great pounce into an arrow, and they'll get another kill here onto Q. As Jackie, he will be able to back off. But Boom Esports, they understand that once that Silencer ulti is gone, they have free reign over the map.
And not just that, Mike. I think when Boom manages to split up the heroes of Motivate.Trust, they've gotten much better single target control here from Boom. They might not have as much AoE in comparison with the presence of Boat and Arena on the side of Motivate.Trust, but their single target control is great. They've got Pounce, they've got the arrow if it connects, they've got the bounces coming through from FBZ if he does get a good roll, and the Grip and Nightmare. If these heroes are split up on Motivate, as we saw with that chase, you know, first they find Set Zero, then they find Fields versus BKB, and then the mid lane's empty to 2 heroes, it just becomes a lot easier for Boom to take control of the engagements, and I think Motivate.Trust has to be very aware that if they are split up without global silence, you're in a risky spot.
Oh,
Still,
Masaros.
Motivate to smoke up his two, but
Well, that was a very lucky speed there from Masaros. He did not know CTM was around. Meantime, Fearless, they're going to find a Bang here. Nice easy kind of Bane kill. And, well, Jackie, that was the Shadow Step, just so everyone's aware. It wasn't the Haunt being committed. Jackie does have the Ags up now, so just a quick, easy kill for him on the Spectre. Now, all things being said and done, he is catching up quite nicely to CTM on this slug. Like, it was a rather tough last 5-10 minutes, but he has caught up quite decently. Still, they are going to smoke up and rotate towards that top lane, and the Sunstrike is going to give vision for FBZ to roll his way through, and the arrow was on target anyway. That's a great pick off there from Boom.
it's a good reading from Jack to stay, but Motivate.Trust looking for the counterplay. They aren't going to find a blink initiation, and Jackie had ample time to kind of TP out there. He was already in the tree line. He knew something was up, but didn't manage to escape, and they get good punishment on Boom. They build up their lead 3K. You were just talking about how well Jackie's farm was doing, Mike. He's starting to lag behind because of these deaths, and that is an issue. Like, the Spectre can still hold out. The key thing is timing. We're still 20 minutes in. This isn't the Spectre's power spike. This is Boom's power spike with CTM. We're just going to keep smoking around that. They don't have the Slark with them, but just with the Invoker and the two supports, they might be able to get enough to find another pickoff.
They're going to try. Global Silence is up this time around, so they've got to be a little bit more cautious here on Boom. We've seen what happens with that Global up, and, well, never mind, because they're going to find Jackie straight off the bat. There is a smoke incoming from Motivate. In fact, Arrow did not really land, and now the Global Silence has been committed. Masaros, he's going to jump in. He's found Japoy on that Invoker, but can they burst him down? Nightmare going to buy a bit of time, but no, the finger is there from Set Zero, and now a Bang is going to drop along with him. I suppose that is the key, is just wait out the Global Silence usage, and now they can try to go again onto Masaros. They'll find the Mars straight off the bat. Rolling Thunder's there as well. Fearless, he's going to get stuck here. FBZ, no, he's got the BKB in time. So Fearless, he'll TP away. Problem is Set Zero is going to be left behind. That'll be another nice kill going in the way of CTM. And it really is as simple as that, John. Global Silence is down, we're just going to rush them.
They know the team fight's lacking for Motivate.Trust. Once the big spells are gone, once Global Silence, and even to an extent the arena, once that's taken out, there's a lack of control coming through from Motivate, and they just clean up. CTM, he's got the Shadow Blade up, so he can be across the map real quick, and Jackie, he's out of mana here.
Oh boy, Jackie in big trouble. They do TP, expecting that to happen, and it's good read there by Q, as I think CTM might have just kept diving had the Silencer not TP'd in to help out. So 13 to 17, but a 3K net worth lead here for Boom Esports. A very good position for the Dire. Mind you, you are still playing into a Spectre, so you've still got to be kind of worried about that ultra late game timing the Spectre can hit.
Radiant's bottom tower
And never mind that for a second, because bot lane, there is a jump coming. Masaros, he's going to get in with the spear around onto FBZ, and they've got the follow-up Torrent Bone, and that'll be more than enough, as now they even found Tim's on that Marana. Tim's, he's got 3 leaf charges, but they aren't going to matter. They have the damage. That'll be another 2 kills to go the way of Motivate.
Yeah, they find some easy pickoffs while Boom sort of split up. They didn't have vision, or too much vision in that in the jungle area on bot lane, so Boom manages to get caught out. Motivate making use of that lack of information on their side and build up. That's the one advantage you have with a Spectre. You can be all across the map. You can kind of play around with the Shadow Step, or just kind of play with the Spectre as your focal point, this nice big tanky target. They hit a good spike here as well. They've got the disarm up and running with Heaven's Halberd on Fearless. So they have a way of stopping the damage output of CTM. They can just disarm him, take control, prevent his damage output from going through and building up Essence Shift stacks, and try to clear him out from there. So I think Motivate are starting to itemize in a way that kind of counteracts Boom, but Boom still have this momentum advantage. Not much in net worth, but you still are in your power spikes. You're still at the point where Motivate are still waiting for a Spectre to be online. And I think as long as Boom keeps playing aggressive along those lines, they should still be able to get more off the map. They should start to look for taking some tier 2s, opening up a path for Roshan, and maybe just considering moves towards a high ground.
Speaking of a power spike, John, CTM, double damage up. He's going to rush the Roshan immediately, see if they can get it done. Meanwhile, at the bot lane, Bang has been chased down here by Jackie, but he is playing distraction. So they get that kill, but in the meantime, Roshan is still occurring, and Motivate seem to have no idea it's happening at the moment. So Bang, creating that little distraction, does give the tip over to Jackie, kind of indicating that something is awry here. Sunstruck's going to come in, and they've taken the Aegis. And that'll explain the tip there now to the Spectre, as they never figured it out. They had Shadow Step, they had Horn. Well, they only had Horn, actually. Shadow Step was committed to kill off a Bang. And with that, I think Boom Esports will be very happy with the trade.
It's very unfortunate for Motivate.Trust. I think they felt secure with this ward watching a Roche, but they need to get the scan out. They didn't really use it. They get caught off guard, and they underestimate the smoke and Shadow Blade usage from CTM. So 2 lives on our Slark can be a lot harder to pull down, even has the Silver Edge up, and that's the Spectre counter right. You've got Break, you don't need to worry about Jackie being up front, just break him off, his durability disappears, a lot of his damage gets gone too, so CTM has a major spike here over the Spectre.
Yeah, straight away in onto Jackie. He'll haunt towards the north though, up towards that top lane. Who have they found? It's going to be FBC and Tims, but Tims, he's already TP'd out, so it's only FBC, but he is still trying to kill off the Spectre. Eventually we'll think better of it, as he just doesn't have the damage output. BZ going to back off and try to meet up with his team, but now Fearless is rushing to try and get that X off onto the Pango. He's not going to be able to find it, and in the meantime, CTM, he's just going to go in by himself. Arrow, though, does land onto Fearless, and they surround him. Fearless, he is a pretty tanky boy and still has that BKB up. They could try to play with this. In the meantime, Jackie kills off Tim's. Fearless is forced to BKB now. Sunstrike, though, is not going to land. In fact, they have the spear out, but the swashbuckle. FBZ, he's in. Tornado, it lands onto 2, and now they can really clean up. Beans rip out as well. Global Silence is going to be committed. Jackie, he's going to keep trying to go for the fight. The Earth Spike onto 3, but it won't matter. Set 0. He's still going to drop as Jackie. He'll keep trying, but eventually he has to back off as CTM is just continuing to rush forward. Sunstrike, it's not on the mark. In fact, Jackie somehow kills off a Bang with just some illusions. But Boom, they should be pretty satisfied with that kind of trade. They'll go through the mid lane now, but the Shadow Step, Jackie is still fighting. He's got FBZ, but he is very low on HP. Uh-oh, somebody forgot to reset. Jackie gets all the tips. You said it was his birthday, John. He might have had something to drink. See, he does not go back to the fountain.
Yeah, he didn't get that refill at the fountain, not filling back his cup to get back in good graces. And Boom does manage to find some punishment. A 4 for 2 in the end, losing Aegis on Boom's side. Very worthwhile for the kills they found. They even find that tier 2 mid. They can take Outpost and keep that aggression up as they secure themselves a 7k lead. Motivate.Trust still have a lot to build for, but they're starting to run out of space to secure safe farm for Jackie. With the Outpost gone, with the bot jungle gone, Jackie's limited to the triangle. Boom has shown that they play around that area a lot, so it doesn't feel safe. Monstrous is playing aggressive though, but his team is sort of a bit far behind him, and Spectre's not up with a haunt yet. So they don't have the follow-up damage for the initiation, and should be a bit wary. They will smoke up though, perhaps within, and if they find someone in 10 seconds, Jackie can just immediately haunt or shadow step in, and they can kind of try to secure some space that way.
I saw CTM there for a second, but they weren't quite confident in jumping the Slark, so instead they might try for Yopage on the Invoker. CTM now has been spotted again. Zero going to try go in with their Hex out. They've got so much damage. They just burst it down. CTM immediately is now Yopage. He's going to try and fight on his own. He does get Zero down. And now FBZ is going to try and back him up, but he has been caught out with the boat from Fearless. And they will get a second. As FBZ is still trying to pick up Q here. They won't get him though. FBZ forced to back off as Masros is going to continue rushing forward. But it looks like that's going to be it. 2 for the price of nothing. But they found the 2 most valuable heroes on Boom Esports. So another great team fight for Motivate.
And it does feel like Motivate's getting a little bit more with the levels they have. Jackie hits level 20, already at 21. Gets his talents up, so the Spectral Dagger is slow and bonus. Gives him a lot more presence in these fights if you manage to catch one more.
Yeah, cute. or rather set 0. He's going to find out a ping. Jackie will happily just shadow step in, take his 10th kill of the game. I still think this this nerf to shadow step was a bit silly, John. 10-second cooldown increase. I don't see how that's changed anything here for Jackie.
I mean, again, in a way, it kind of balances it because, you know, at 30 seconds, you basically had a haunt every single time haunt would be back up. You know, you'd have 5 uses in between every haunt use. So now it's a little bit longer, but in the actual use case, you know, 10 seconds isn't much. It's still very spammable. It's still a good tempo for a Spectre to play with. So yeah, maybe she's going to be due for a nerf in the next pass. Who knows? It's still Jackie having a great time and abusing that Ags upgrade as best as he can. 22-22, very even game. 6k lead still stands for Boom, but the net worth gap between our Slark and Spectre is starting to shrink. It's only down to about 1.2k gold, and it never really strayed beyond that. Like, I think at peak it was like a 2k lead for CTM, so it was never massive. I think that's something Boom's gonna have to be worried about. They are smoked up here though, looking for a wraparound.
Fearless, he's a tanky Kunkka. It's kind of hard to burst him down, but now Rolling Thunder is out, set 0, he's going to drop immediately, and they do indeed find that Kunkka. He did not get the boat out, but eventually will with the BKB, and that'll be enough, he'll back off. They are still trying to find a little bit more here on Boom. Tornado's going to be on the mark, CTM not quite on the mark of that pounce. In fact, now they're going to try and X him back into that tier 3 tower. Contribute out, CTM, he'll pop the Shadow Dance back in onto Q, does eventually get the silencer, and that'll be enough. So they got what they came for in the end. You know, not quite finding a core kill, but 2 supports, still better than nothing.
And those are pretty important supports to find, maybe less so in the line, but you mentioned it before, Mike. When Silencer's gone, when the global silence is down, Motivate.Trust don't really have counter. So it opens up a lot for Boom to just be aggressive, even if it's just for 20 seconds. They're playing much more forward, take over the triangle, shove in the top tier 2, maybe look for a bit of a push while they're all gathered up here.
Oh, Ag's up now on Fearless though. He's got the Torrent Storm available. This could make life a lot more difficult here for Boom. For now, they will defend that top tier 2. Boom Esports, they decide better off trying to force a fight underneath that tower. Of course, respecting all the spells that are available right now for Motivate. Don't go too far. They certainly dominate the map at the moment. Even with just a 6k net worth lead, the map is theirs to farm. They can spend their time just increasing that net worth lead over and over again. Problem is, the longer you spend doing that, the more farm that Jackie's inherently going to get. And he is very close to that Eye of Skadi now.
He's not too far off. 500 gold at this point. It's going to be a massive issue with the added stats, the slow to healing reduction that comes out. And Boom's going to have to be extra cautious now when the Spectre does jump in. Of course, you mentioned the Ags earlier on there. The water park's also going to be disrupting Boom quite a fair bit. And I think Boom have to be cautious, because that 7k lead, it's very misleading. If you look at the net worth off all the heroes, all cores are within 1k except Masaros. Masaros is 4k behind, so that's where the bulk that net worth lead is coming from how under-farmer Mars is. Otherwise, everyone else is pretty much within 1k of each other, and that's not a significant lead at all. It's not an item advantage, it's not anything major, and I think that does keep Motivate.Trust in the running here.
Tornado off the mark on Fearless. Just fine to walk away from that. Of course, they know exactly where Boom are. They understand that they are occupying that triangle right now as Fearless. He's going to rush in. Arrow's not going to land, but he will BKB up just in case. FBZ in the meantime, with the Rolling Thunder, is going to find set 0. Chucks a U-turn, and now the Sunstrike with the Deafening Blast and another hit of the Rolling Thunder. They will eventually get through this line. In the meantime, however, they will lose a ping. So a 1-for-1 on the supports. Jackie gonna come in, a double torrent was there to set up FBZ. He's gonna be fine to back off. Global Silence committed. CTM, he's gone too far on his own. He might back off, but no. Shadow Step is there. He'll turn around again. Tornado out. Masteros will jump back in. It's complete mess on this high ground. It's Fearless. He'll frontline. Who have they found? It's gonna be FBZ on the Pango, but no. He'll swashbuckle away again. CTM back into the team fight now, but both teams may just want to back out. In fact, never mind. CTM is still rushing forward onto that silencer, but will not find the hold for him. Very back and forth game between these two. AK net worth lead, but you kind of just talked about it, John. The game just feels much closer than the net worth would kind of lead you to believe. As now the Roshan is going to get started here for Boom. And this time around, Motivate, they can't really afford to give this Roshan away for free.
To get the scan off, they do not have global science and they do not have haunts, so this fight could be a bit tough. Roshan's melting quick, they've got to make her jump in soon.
Arrow does land onto the Roshan. Tim's being very annoying in the back as now Roshan is down. CTM, he's got the Aegis up. FBZ is rolling in the pit just in case, but Fearless with the Torrent Storm just making absolute havoc happen. And the Fiend's Grip is going to come out. They just hold him down forever. Sunstrike going to fly in as well. Fearless should eventually drop here as Jackie. He is forced to retreat. Masteros, though, is still being chased down here by CTM and Yopaj. And he's going to be forced to BKB and just try to run his way out. Even dropping the arena, but CTM's not done quite yet. He has a perfect Dark Pack down. He's trapped in the arena for now, but it won't be for long as Masteros, it is look like he is due to die. And eventually should tick over. The CTM is still trying. Yopaj, he's the only man left to try and get this Mars kill now.
No
and will actually be able to get away. Masteros, the Juke's out from the Mars. He somehow makes it out of this.
Yeah, they managed to escape, and that's actually a bit of a win for Motivate.Trust. They find 2 for 1. They do manage to pop quite a few of their BKBs. They don't catch the big cores, but they will stave off some of the aggression Boom wants to build up early on with that Aegis. So they're buying more time, they're buying more space on Motivate.Trust side to get Jackie up and running, and to a certain extent getting Fearless and Masteros up and running as well with some itemization. Like, once you hit this Hex timing on Masteros with a Kunkka, becomes a lot easier to control the Slark, to control the Invoker. You've got a lot of Hexes with a Lion on hand. You can play from there. CTM getting force-fed mangoes. Love to see it out from Tim. So he's learned from March, you know, from the TNC times. Force-feeding those mangoes to his core.
He's certainly learned over his time there at TNC. March would be very proud watching how he's arguably his previous students, John, have learned from him. Learned his ways. Following that old tradition that he does have. Do have the Moonlight Shadow being committed now. Keep in mind the Aghanim Scepter is available on Yopaj, so you've got the Cataclysm up as well. A lot of burst damage flying in here onto Motivate.Trust. And you haven't got the most amazing way of holding them down long enough, to be fair, but even if you could just find one with that Cataclysm, it'll make it all the worth. CTM just kind of stalking Fearless right now on that Kunkka. Motivator being just very, very careful about the way they position. Boom Esports, they're going to try and get aggressive. That Tier 2 tower. In fact, who's jumped in? It's going to be FBZ. He's right in. Aeon Disc is there, though. It's going to dispel off the stuns. And he'll be okay with the roll-up. But Shadow Step was also committed. And we have a quick pause out. FBZ. Maybe just experiencing some lag issues there as, in fact, it's CT. No, it is FBZ. Just going to have to quickly disconnect as he is having some lag issues. Yeah, he doesn't die, miraculously enough. The Aeon Disc does save the day.
Yeah. It's, that is proc, so it's down for 1:40, and it's going into its longest charge soon after the next use. So it's going to be up to 165 seconds on cooldown, which means there's going to be bigger windows for Motivate.Trust to jump through and get some openings here up against Boom. Boom, still in a good spot, but the side of Motivate are sort of set to collapse. They've got the Haunt ready on Jackie, so the Shadow Step's gone, but the full Haunt's ready if they do find the angle. And this pause might give them enough time to consider their options. They actually do see Boom, what awards they have on hand. Boom does not see them. They know they were playing from the left side, but they don't have the current information outside of that Shadow Step illusion, so Motivate.Trust might want to use this moment if they do manage to catch up, but Boom are already set to kind of walk away, so we'll see how far they commit. But this could be a pretty awkward team fight for either side, considering that a lot of the pre-planning set the pause. You know, a lot of people have talked about pauses, Mike. Sometimes you lose track of what's happening. You know, you take the time, you talk with your team, and then suddenly you forget where people are. And especially when you don't have vision, in this case, Boom side don't have vision. So they might You might maybe expect that they're not being chased, but the commitment might be there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Fearless who's looking almost close enough to get an X off, but he needs about 4 seconds for that to be off cooldown. Masaros needs about 3 to have his blink off cooldown. He does have the arena and the spear up. So I think they might try to go for a bit of a pick off here and at least get something off of Boom Esports. Of course, you always got that global presence from Jackie. They could also decide to just sit back and let their Spectre farm more. There's no real harm in just letting Jackie continue to farm up and just escalate even further. He is still behind CTM, so you might just want to take that time until he does have the nullifier up. For now, we'll see though. I highly doubt they're actually able to catch somebody out as all the blinks are on cooldown. But you know, you do have time to think about it during this pause, so Motivate, they might convince themselves that it's a great idea.
Could be. You know what else it could be used for, Mike? It could be a cake break. Jackie could just be going off, grabbing a slice of birthday cake.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's back in the boot camp of Motivate.Trust, if they're all back under one roof, but if they are, they could all share a slice of cake, have a good time, get some fun. Not too much of a good time, though, as FBZ is back.
How old is Jackie now? Do we know? Did you ask him?
Unfortunately, I didn't check on Facebook, so I could double check. I don't know if he listed his age, but I will provide an update shortly, as soon as my Facebook actually connects. Looks like it's down.
Just count the candles,
Unfortunately,
John.
I didn't ask him. You know, I wanted to be polite. You know, I pretended to remember, but I don't quite remember. I have the memory for fish.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Speaking of birthdays, I mean, we've wished your dad and Jackie a happy birthday, but what about My Pro Dota, John? My Pro Dota 10 has not had a birthday wish from us in quite a while. Of course, happy birthday to the man. Still waiting for the day we get to cast him, John. I feel like it's been a very, very long time since we've had the pleasure. But happy birthday to him.
Of course. Can't forget My Pro Dota 10. You know, there was a time where he was standing in for MY on the QH Esports Cup. And those were the days we weren't casting. So I remember our admin, Mr. Nada Distat, you know, he's telling us, hey, you guys just missed My Pro Tech. What can you do? You know, we weren't there still. We don't push through it. Let's go to CTM.
Going for the outpost. It looks like Boom want to try and force his fight. Masteros, he might take this bait. CTM still just standing there, ignoring him completely. So they will spear away the Slark, but CTM, he's a man of commitment. They will just keep going. And Motivate decide they do not want to take the fight, even though it was being provided here from Boom. So back into that bot tier 2 tower. They'll take it very easily. And it does seem like Motivate are not ready to force a fight yet. But there is going to be a smoke up here from Boom. It's going to be very bad for Motivate.Trust if they get caught out. But no, they're going to run right past. And instead head towards the top side of the map. Perhaps trying to find Jackie on that Spectre. But Jackie does seem to know something is wrong here. And we'll just go back towards his own base.
That smoke dodge was a double-edged sword. I think if they managed to break it under the ward vision, Motivate.Trust were kind of set up to get a good blink hex off, to get the arena off from Masteros, trap multiple heroes from Boom, and clean up. But with a wraparound, they could have caught Fearless out as well. So a lot of back and forth.
Masteros is going to go in, but FBZ has help around. They're going to commit the Horde. They're going to try for this, it seems. But in the end, Boom Esports, they'll just back off. Just roll away with FBZ. And now if you're Boom, you know the BKB's down on the Mars and you know the Haunt is down on Jackie. You definitely want to try and force high ground.
Yeah, they've taken out all the tier 2s. Map's pretty naked for Motivate.Trust. They don't have much control to assert to get that farm up for the spec. So they're going to have to play high ground. Global Silence is still up. They could play around that instead.
10 seconds on the Aegis timing here. CTM does not want to get caught out and lose it just before he dies. And so they get a bit of chip damage onto that tier 3 tower, but that's going to be enough for him for now. Again, Boom still own the map, so there's no real reason for them to try and force the finish of this game yet. And we've seen Motivate come back before from some impossible games. I'm sure Boom remember those games and do not want to give them the opportunity.
Yeah, I think Boom are aware. Scaling towards late game, the Slark can keep up. Spectre is still Spectre. It still has a lot of item slots left because of how relatively slow it can farm, and there's a lot of room to grow for Jack. I think that is something Boom's going to be holding out on. If the game stalls out for 10 more minutes at this farming pace, Jackie could find himself 5 out of 6 slots out and start to kind of overpower the Slarkin presence in the middle of these fights if they're not careful.
So just kind of staring each other down in that mid lane. On either side, Motivate again going to go right back into the base.
Radiant's top
FBZ
tower
waiting
is
for the
under
perfect
attack.
moment to roll in, but doesn't end up committing. I suppose you may as well wait CTM to have this Eye of Skadi up before you do go any further. And of course you've got the next Roshan to wait out as well. So Boom, unless they get some magnificent team fight to happen, they're probably just going to wait out this next Rosh. Motivate, they're the ones who need to find a way to get Jackie some more farm and make a play. Jackie right now, he is forced to just stay in front of that tier 3 tower and farm very, very safe. This is not the way you end up catching up in this game. So you've got to find this man some space. They're unable to find the opening yet. I mean, they're running through the bot area of the jungle, but as you can see, Yopaj was around trying to make the jump in onto set 0. He will leave now, but I think as soon as Boom have an idea that somebody is in that bot jungle, they will rotate. And as you see, TTM is immediately rushing his way down. Pings out immediately, but it seems like they know Masteros and Set 0 both going to TP out. Boom, they will not give any space away.
Motivate immediately smoke up after that failed gank attempt. I believe Masaros' Stormcrafter actually pinged CTM, so they know he's down in that bot area. And they are going to try to wrap around. They are fairly blind, though, so it could be a bit tough finding the angle.
Yeah, Boom's got all the vision in the world right now in this area. Abeng, though, is going to be spotted with the spear. It doesn't land, but it won't matter. They've already got one. In fact, they found another.
Oh.
CTM, he got surrounded on the slug. FBZ, he just has to roll away now. He will eventually commit the TP as well, and he'll be okay. But CTM, he just got surrounded by a billion Spectre illusions. And eventually, he just went down so quick.
Yeah, the damage output from the Spec is pretty up there now, and that's a really well-timed gank. Roshan not going to be up before CTM respawns, though, so the Slark will be present for the next Roshan if that's the play Motivate.Trust wants to make, and it's their safest bet. They can't really push out, their waves aren't in favor of Masaros, though.
It has been caught out, but we'll be able to purge off with that neutral item as now FBZ is going to try and roll up and roll away, but he doesn't have the real Rolling Thunder, so he's in big, big trouble. Jackie will take another kill here on this Spectre. And with that Nullifier up, they just seem so much more confident to continue forcing fights and continue being aggressive. And suddenly Motivate, they've hit a timing here. Boom Esports. They've got to be very cautious now as well, the map does not completely belong to them anymore. And that next Roshan is going to be up in 35 seconds. That could be a massive game changer here for Motivate.
Yeah, it's tough for Boom, because they may have their Slark back up, but they won't have FBZ and the Pango. So they could clear out Roshir and Motivate.Trust without having to worry about Rolling Thunder, which is Boom's main team fight outside of the Invoker spell combos. Now, ideally, you do want the Rolling Thunder there in such a tight area. It's a lot of value, but you're going to lose out in that aspect. Still, there is a little bit more time. 10 seconds till Rosh. Motivate.Trust not quite clumping around the area. They might miss out their opportunity. They need to maintain vision there, and Q will just kind of sit. He will spot it out. So Motivate could make that play. They've got a good forward ward to watch near the ramp area of the top jungle, keeping them protected. And they do have Global Silence ready. No Haunt, but it should be up soon. And they will get started. So no FBZ, no Pango. They've got Scam, but they're not in the area. Boom could go for a smoke play, but looks like they might not be able to. I don't see any smokes in any of them.
I mean, you're lacking your strongest team fight, which is FBZ right now, and Roshan's already gone. Jackie takes absolutely everything for himself, as every good position one tends to do. But we'll give Masteros the Refresher Shard and gives the cheese over to Fearless. It's just making sure nobody jumps in for the steal. That's fair enough. That net worth lead now suddenly down to 4k the way of Boom is bot lane. They have found Yopaj. Nice setup there from Set 0. Jackie able to take another cure on the Spectre as Masaros looking for more Tims. He's going to show himself for that ward. This could not pay off. Or maybe it does. Arrow will not land, but Jackie is rushing forward now. He won't find out Tims. Instead, FBZ is going to roll back the other way. Masaros, who are you chasing, sir? He'll try to go after a bang. Gets a nice arena spear off, but FBZ is going to be there to try and help him out. Still, the boat is going to fly in eventually, and they will be able to take down the Bane. In fact, Masaros, another arena out now, has found FBZ. They've got the Pango trapped up within the arena's walls, and they will get another. No buyback available for FBZ, and a bang will get tipped back by Jackie.
Yeah, Motivate are starting to feel confident again. They hit that spike in the spec, they feel strong. The refresh on Masaros, very impactful. They haven't used a refresh shard as well on Fearless. So the double Ghost Fleet is still available. The double Water Park is there with the Torrent Storm. Even double Tidal Wave to reposition people could be really strong as well, catching some more heroes out. And Boom managed to even up the game a little bit more. Only a 1k lead for Boom. Remember, for a long time, that gap, Mike, was mainly on the Mars and the Pango being so far apart. Now they're kind of evened out. And Jackie's still within 1k gold of CTM. Fearless is within a few 10 gold within Yopaj. So net worth-wise, you're still in the game for Motivate. And they do scale really strong with that spec. Gonna try to high ground here.
Yeah, I mean, with the Aegis up, with the cheese available, it's very hard to see a defense to come out here from Boom Esports. And you can't forget either, Jackie, he's got the Basher just sitting in the backpack right now. Definitely a lot of control and damage here on our Spectre as Yopaj. He's going to try and buy some time. Jackie, though, he's going to Shadow Step in. In fact, that was a Shadow Step. Horn was still on cooldown. Nice Torrent, or rather Tidal Wave back onto a bang. They're going to get the paint down. Another tip out from Jackie. As they will go onto the mid racks. And this should be the first racks of the game to go down here as Boom Esports. They cannot defend high ground.
No. They have to play it really cautious. They know the team fight of Motivate.Trust is still up there. They've still got the silence from Q. And Q, props to our silencer. He had such a slow laning phase. He was starting to build up in mid game. I think he has almost enough gold to buy out the refresh. Just holding back for buyback. So you're going to have double Global Silence, double Water Park, double Ghost Fleet, double Torrent, Tidal Wave to bring back. A lot of big tools for Motivate.Trust. Even double Hex with the side of Vice up and Fearless. So they are piling on. The rest of their heroes are scaling with control, and all the damage is on the spec.
Bot lane, Yopaj ends up going down, set 0. Looks to have set up another kill here for Jackie, and well, he might get caught out now, but it'll be a great trade here. The Lion won't mind dying. Set 0, he'll drop. In the meantime, though, top lane's being forced in. Boom Esports, they need to respond to this. They'll bring in CTM, but where's the rest of the TPs? There'll be Tims. The other two have to run their way up. This is a very bad sign here for Boom Esports. The CTM, he's going to be forced to try and BKB up a man fight, but there's no way. He turns onto Masaros instead with the Shadow Step. Or rather, the Shadow Dance. It won't matter, though. Nobody's dying here from Motivate, as they will go for the top lane of Barracks. As far as Boom goes, there's nothing they can do about it, as Tims will get skewered back and gets hit by the Tidal Wave once again by Fearless. Global Silence out as well. Have they found FBZ? Not quite. The Aeon Disc will save the day. But Jackie's found a bang. Another kill out onto the Bane, as now they found the Slark as well. CTM, he's been pushed back by Fearless. It won't matter. Jackie's onto the T4s now. Tims, he'll try to use him up, but how do you stop this man? Rolling Thunder in from FBZ, they're going to try. CTM has committed the buyback, but this could be the last-ditch team fight, and CTM, he's been hexed up immediately by Fearless. Tidal Wave out as well, onto the Slark. Can they at least get the Conquer? Not quite. Set 0. He's going to be in. A spear away from Masaros as well. In the meantime, Jackie's going to rush a bang on the Bane for the 50th time this game, but the Fiend's Grip is going to come out in time. They've got the Aegis though, and the Fiend's Grip's not going to be enough quite yet. In the meantime, Cataclysm comes out Yopaj. It's going to do enough damage to at least get the Lion down. They also found Jackie. Nightmare's there. They'll hold down the Spectre, but can they control him? They'll go into Fearless instead. They want that Conquer down, and they might just get him. They do get Fearless. Can they get Jackie now? The Spectre, he's a tanky boy. He wants a bang, but he'll be surrounded. They might just be able to get him down, and it looks like they can. Boom Esports, a successful defense on the high ground. And even though their 2 racks is down, they are not out of this game quite yet.
Managed to hold out in great fashion Boom's side. I think that's on Jackie. It looked a bit awkward because they killed him 1 second before Aegis expired. If they actually slowed down their DPS a bit there, they wouldn't have to kind of split their mind up there, maybe commit for a deeper push, but they still find all the kills they want. They are freezing up Masaros. Backup is still a long way off, but they could find another pick-off here to set up for high ground.
Masaros, he's going to go for the arena. BKB up onto a ping. That'll be a tieback. A ping, he's gone for another 90 seconds. As now Jackie might just clean up. Who's he going after? He's actually running. CTM's on the chase. Tim's is there as well. Jackie, he bought back. He cannot afford to tie back like this, but he's been caught out. CTM, he's doing all the damage you could ask for, and that's going to be a tieback. A bang, he drops the GG, have fun. Meanwhile, Fearless is going to try to run. He'll BKB up, and he should be okay, but CTM's on the chase, and he is running real damn fast. Pounce is there. They found the Conquer. Tidal Wave's going to do nothing. The Torrent Storm out. Masaros, he refreshes, but CTM does not give a crap. He'll keep rushing forward. The boat's not helping enough. Fearless is still trying to run, but the pounce out again. CTM will get back to work. Fearless, Tidal Wave out. Spear is there, not push CTM back, but Yopaj is rushing forward with the blink out. Masaros, he's going to BKB up and be just fine. Because FBZ, he could not find the Conquer, but instead they will find Q. That's 2 down now, but more importantly, John, they've got a Spectre down without buyback for 80 seconds. What can they get done here?
They don't have a lane. None of their lanes are shoved out. They can't go high ground through back door. And that actually gives Motivate.Trust so much time. Sure, no spec, but couldn't smoke up. Maybe look for some pickoffs here.
Oh, CTM, this could be a dieback for him now. Fearless is there with the torrent. They had the finger out as well. He's still got time to react to this, but no, the Hex is out. Yopaj though, a massive tornado onto 3 heroes. That's going to save the day as Cataclysm flies in. Boat is out. CTM, he's still going forward. Fearless is perched up now. The stun is going to connect, and Japoi, he saved the day here for Boom Esports as Fearless is going to go down. No buyback available for the side of Motivate on their cause. They even found Masaros. I think Boom, John, they may have done it. Can they go for a push?
Yeah, they've got double damage up on CTM. They've got the mid-wave shoved in. There's no big play you can go for on Motivate in terms of going for a base race because, well, you only have a silencer up. They will get the siege done on the tier 3. They're going to jump for the tier 4s. Jackie's up in 10. That's enough time for him to respawn, but it's going to be Jackie against the world here.
It's a lot of stats on CTM right now, John. Just have a look at that. 37 essence shift stacks right now with the double damage. That's a lot of damage from CTM. Jackie's going to have to try real time quick. He's jumped in with the Abyssal, but the Ancient is going down. CTM, he will just focus it, and they will secure game 1 and hand Motivate.Trust their first victory, or rather loss, of the whole group stage. And a bang, he gets his revenge, John.
Yeah, I mean, he was starting down Jackie early on. Motivate.Trust were turning it around for a long time.
Goodness.
But that smoke out of base, just being over-eager in Motivate.Trust, feeling like they had the opening. If they managed to kill CTM, I think that would work out, but Yopaj, boy, the man with the sponsors, Mike, jumps in, saves the day, as you called out, and just turns it around. So I think Motivate.Trust, their late-game decision-making at that moment, that one call kind of gave them a short stick of the game. It was very tight between both sides, so a lot of back and forth. So we're seeing Motivate.Trust can keep pace with Boom, and we talked about their historic matchup data. Boom has almost always had the edge, so we're seeing Motivate.Trust. They have improved that factor. I think it's a lot closer now than it was before, but they have to watch those small openings. You can't give openings like that to Boom. We've seen Boom also hold out against unfavorable odds and still manage to find those wins.
Absolutely. I mean, with that, we are going to head to a 10-minute break, and right after that break, we are going to be back with game number 2 between these juggernauts and Motivate.Trust, and of course, Boom Esports. We'll see you all again very soon.